King is in the field. Chodesh Tov, everybody. Hope you're doing great. What a beautiful day. Beautiful, beautiful day. Baruch Hashem. Thank Hashem for this beautiful day. I am in the field. I just got done with another beautiful session, hour-long session of personal prayer, Hitbodedut, which is something that I've been practicing consistently for the past couple of months now. It has been life-changing. But I want to talk about this beautiful, beautiful time that we are in, the month of Elul. So according to the Jewish calendar, this is the last month of the Jewish year. It's a very, very powerful time. So with that being said, I thought it would be great to start this video series off with a little bit of an intro about the month of Elul and a whole series of Hitbodedut videos. I thought what better time than to be able to come out in the fields, come out in nature, and to talk about Hitbodedut. Before we get into that, I found a beautiful article on Chabad.org that talks about the month of Elul and what it's all about. So, the king is in the field. It says, there is a prophet in the land over all else, for the king is sustained by the field. Ecclesiastes 5:8, as per Ibn Ezra on the verse. Elul, the last month of the Jewish year, is a time of paradox, a time of what might be termed spiritual work days. The Jewish calendar distinguishes between two general qualities of time, mundane and holy. Ordinary work days are mundane portions of time. Shabbat and the festivals are examples of holy time. On holy days, we disengage ourselves from the material involvement of life to devote ourselves to the spiritual pursuits of study and prayer. These are also days enriched with special spiritual resources: rest on Shabbat, freedom on Passover, awe on Rosh Hashanah, etc. Each providing its unique quality to the journeyer through the calendar and life. In the latter respect, the month of Elul resembles the holy portions of the calendar. Elul is a haven in time, a city of refuge from the ravages of material life, a time to audit one's spiritual accounts and assesses the year gone by, a time to prepare for the days of awe of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur by repenting the failings of the past and resolving for the future, a time to increase in Torah study, prayer, and charitable activities. Elul is the opportune time for all this because it is a month in which God relates to us in a more open and compassionate manner than he does in the other months of the year. In the terminology of Kabbalah, it is a time when God's 13 attributes of mercy illuminate his relationship with us. So Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi explains the paradox of Elul with the following metaphor. The king's usual palace is in the capital city, in the royal palace. Anyone wishing to approach the king must go through the appropriate channels in the palace bureaucracy and gain the approval of a succession of secretaries and ministers. He must journey to the capital and pass through many gates, corridors, and antechambers that lead to the throne room. His presentation must be meticulously prepared, and he must adhere to an exacting code of dress, speech, and mannerism upon entering into the royal presence. However, there are times when the king comes out to the fields outside the city. At such times, anyone can approach him. The king receives them all with a smiling face and a radiant countenance. The peasant behind his plow has access to the king in a manner unavailable to the highest ranking minister in the royal court when the king is in the palace. The month of Elul is when the king is in the field. So that is the month of Elul in a nutshell. Something that my wife and I are actually really excited about is to really take our time to be in introspection, to be reflecting on our deeds, on our misdeeds, on the things that we've done wrong, spending our time getting closer to Hashem, going deeper into Torah study, doing lots and lots and lots of teshuvah, and the list goes on and on and on. And so it's a very, very serious month. So what's one way to really get closer to Hashem? I really believe it's doing Hitbodedut, taking time to seclude yourself with Hashem, whether it's in the fields, in the forest, in a certain place in your home, David Amelech used to talk to Hashem under his covers. He used to talk to Hashem at nighttime in his bed. And so no matter where it is, it's taking some personal time with the creator of the universe. This practice has been life-changing. I literally cannot function if I don't do it. So there have been times over the past couple of months where I did miss some days, and on those days it will be very, very tough for me. So I thank God that he's given me the strength to be able to implement this as a daily part of my life. So with that being said, Rebbe Nachman has a wonderful book called Outpouring of the Soul. I'll make sure that I will put the link down in the description below or in the comment section. But this book is maybe about $8, which I can't believe it. It does so much for our souls. So what I would like to do is to take time to go through this entire book. It's a very, very small book. I have not read the entire book, just bits and pieces. So during this month, my goal is to finish the book. And so if you guys want to go on that journey with me, be my guest. Some of you may even want to start developing that habit of talking to Hashem every single day and doing Hitbodedut. And I can definitely guarantee if you were to start doing Hitbodedut, taking time out of your day to spend an hour every single day with Hashem, it'll be life-changing for sure. So I'm going to start with the translator's introduction, and then I'm going into some of the author's introduction, and on our next video we will start with lesson number 1 in the book. So the translator's introduction. The Hebrew word for meditation is Hitbodedut. The word occurs in this context in Judaic writing spanning over 1,000 years and is used for all the various forms of Jewish meditation. Yet in most people's minds it is primarily associated with Rebbe Nachman of Breslov. Many types of meditation were used by Tzaddikim and Jewish mystics. A vast wealth of ancient literature describes how the prophets of Israel used meditation to reach their high spiritual states. Similar methods were probably used in Talmudic times. They involved repeating a divine name many times to induce the meditative state. So I'm going to skip around a little bit. An ancient method of meditation involved the formal prayers. One of the Baal Shem Tov's most important accomplishments was to use the prayers as a safe method of meditation, which could be done even by the simplest person. The way of prayer, as taught by the Baal Shem Tov, involved nothing more than the regular prayer service, said 3 times daily by every Jew. The idea of using the prayer service as a meditative device did not originate with the Baal Shem Tov, but the Baal Shem Tov taught the way of prayer as a method that could be used by anyone, from the great Kabbalist to the simplest individual. Rather than concentrate on Kabbalistic concepts, a person will focus his entire mind on the words of the prayer, making them fill his entire consciousness. He would then rise from one level to the next until he was in a deep meditative state. A great-grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, Rebbe Nachman, extended the way of prayer to make it more universal and effective. He taught the importance of reciting the Psalms and other non-obligatory prayers to prepare oneself for deep meditation. The individual was to banish all thoughts from his mind so that he would be completely alone with God. The next stage would be to banish the ego, so that all his awareness would be focused on nothing but God. Although Hitbodedut denotes meditation, as Rebbe Nachman saw it, it was also a form of personal prayer. Indeed, this is how most contemporary Breslover Hasidim see it. It is seen not so much as by a means to attain higher states of consciousness, but as a path to self-perfection. If a person is constantly conversing with God, he is certain to become more godly. When he develops a strong bond with God, he is sure to have a greater desire to do God's will. Rebbe Nachman's major teachings regarding meditation were collected in a small book known as Hitbodedut HaNefesh, Outpouring of the Soul. This book was rewritten by Reb Moshe Bezhilinsky, better known as the Reb Alter of Teplitz, and first published in Jerusalem around 1904. Reprinted numerous times, the book is the classic exposition of Rebbe Nachman's system of meditation and prayer. So then I'm going to read just a little bit from the author's introduction. Let such a person pay close attention to the lessons gathered in this book, which speaks of the importance of prayer and meditation, especially regarding pouring out one's soul and heart like water before God's presence. He will learn how to ask God for all that he needs, both materially and spiritually. This is the only way that a person can receive divine help at all times. This holy path is an ancient one that has been walked by our patriarchs, prophets, and sages. We find many examples of Abraham's prayers. When God told Abraham, the outcry of Sodom and Gomorrah is very great, and threatened to destroy the cities, Abraham immediately drew near and began to pray and plead to God that he would spare the cities if 50 or even 10 righteous men were to be found within their borders. Our sages also comment on the verse, Abraham got up early in the morning and went to the place where he had stood before God. This alludes to the fact that Abraham instituted a daily morning prayer. Regarding Isaac, the Torah says Isaac went out to meditate in the field toward evening. Genesis 24:63. The Talmud notes that this alludes to the fact that Isaac instituted a daily afternoon prayer. Brachot 26b. The Midrash states that Isaac was totally involved in prayer, and Rebekah said, this is certainly a great man. Therefore she asked, who is this man walking in the field to meet us? The Torah says of Jacob, he prayed in that place. Genesis 28:11. The Talmud states that from this we see that Jacob instituted a daily evening prayer. Jacob also prayed a link to God and said, if God will be with me and watch me, giving me bread to eat and clothes to wear. Genesis 28:20. The Midrash states that God took the meditation of the patriarchs and made it into the key for their descendants' redemption. When Isaac was praying for Rebekah, the Torah says that he prayed opposite his wife. Genesis 25:21. The Midrash states that Isaac stood in one corner and prayed, while Rebekah stood in the other corner and prayed. The Torah notes that Rachel said, God has judged me and has heard my prayer. She then said, I have been twisted around with my sister through all of God's roundabout ways. Rashi explains that Rachel or Rachel prayed with supplications that were precious with God. During the Talmudic period, all the sages would constantly engage in personal prayer. The Talmud records the prayers that many of the sages recited after the formal Amidah. The sages also composed many prayers for special occasions, such as the Traveler's Prayer. The Baal Shem Tov, too, engaged constantly in meditation and revealed the importance of prayer, as we find in the works based on his teachings. All the disciples of the Baal Shem Tov followed this path. Finally, the Baal Shem Tov's great-grandson, Rebbe Nachman of Breslov, renewed this ancient path, which our ancestors had always followed. And he frequently engaged in prayer, supplication, and meditation in the fields and forests. It was he who enlightened us and taught us the proper way to follow this path. He told his followers, give me your hearts, and I will take you on a new path, which is really the old path upon which our fathers always walked. Powerful, powerful stuff. And there was a lot more in both of those introductions there, but for the sake of time and creating these videos, I wanted to just pull out some parts that I feel that really spoke to me, that really give a good idea and understanding of what this concept of Hitbodedut is all about. Again, what better way than to start the month of Elul off with being in the fields with the master of the field and doing Hitbodedut and having personal, secluded time with Hashem, the creator of the universe, the one who sustains all of creation. My goal during this time is closeness to Hashem, asking Hashem to bring me closer to him every single day, asking him to help me, to give me strength to be able to turn back, to do teshuvah, to help me fix my ways, help me fix my flaws, help me fix all of the different areas that aren't where they should be. That's my goal during this time, amongst many other things. I want to do more charity. I want to grow in my marriage. I want to become a better father. I want to get deeper in my Torah study. I want to learn how to treat everybody favorably, learn how to judge myself favorably, and the list goes on and on and on again. So for those who want to join me on this journey, awesome. It'll be an amazing journey to go on together, every single day learning how to do this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful idea concept called Hitbodedut. Again, I will put the link in the description in case you want to get the book. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, Chodesh Tov to you all.